Yo, what's up with it, y'all? It's JD and I'm back with another quick video. In today's video, I want to talk about overcoming mental blocks. You know, a lot of times I look at mental blocks kind of like an invisible wall that's keeping us from getting to the next level out there. But before we get into the video, if you guys are interested in fitness, health, travel, overall growth content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you can get updated every time I drop new content. So I actually wanted to make this video a couple days ago because I really kind of came to an epiphany about some of my own mental blocks and kind of an invisible wall that I had up for myself when it came down to a few aspects of my life, or just a few things that, that I'm working on. You know, the physical, mental, and the spiritual are all connected. Like, everything is connected in general. So pretty much whatever lesson that you can learn in one area of life, you can pretty much take that lesson, tweak it a little bit, and then you can apply it to another area of life as well. When it comes down to calisthenics, that's probably the first example that I'm going to use. I've been doing good in calisthenics. Like, I think I'm pretty proficient at what I do with calisthenics. When it comes down to taking the next step or moving on to the next level in this calisthenics game, it's something that I kind of have, I haven't been doing. My ego was keeping me at a certain level, and what I mean by my ego is keeping me at a certain level is me thinking, like, oh, I'm good. Like, I take a look in the mirror every day, like, I'm good. You know what I mean? I'm doing handstand push-ups, I'm good. You know what I mean? All these different things that I can do, I can always look back on and be like, I can do a lot of things that a lot of other people can't do. But at the end of the day, life is all about progress. Life is all about moving to the next level. So there's no sense of, being in a certain field, or there's no sense of, honing a certain skill set if you don't want to continue to elevate yourself and to continue to get better, if that's a possibility. So when I went to this calisthenics meetup out here in Salvador de Bahia a couple weeks back, or maybe the first one I went to, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Cass was doing some skills that, was like making me feel like I was a beginner in calisthenics. Like, when I was seeing Cass doing full planche push-ups, or straddle planche push-ups, or, one-arm handstands, different things of that nature, it was like, damn, I got a long ways to go. And it was a good thing for me, for my ego to be checked, because a lot of times, you need that steel sharpen steel. You need to be around people who are better than you in order to push you to the next level. Recently, this past week to be exact, I started training with one of the cats from the calisthenics park. Super cool brother. And for me, I've always kind of been somebody who likes to do things my way, total body training, work on skills before I do my regular workout that I'm doing for kind of physique. But, when I see somebody who obviously is at a higher level than me in terms of skill set and performance, and I want to get to that level, the best thing that you can do is actually emulate what this person does. So if they have a certain training style, you need to follow their lead and actually learn from them, and put your ego to the side for a second. The ego is a great thing, and it could be used as a tool, especially when it comes down to confidence, self-esteem, different things of that nature, and also can actually push us to, do more and accomplish more and have like success. But at the same time, when it comes down to being stubborn and being stuck in our ways, a lot of times the ego is really what's holding us back from, moving to the next level. Another thing that I think kind of can be a mental barrier is comfort and complacency. So when I look in the mirror and I see I have a six-pack and I have a nice physique, there's a level of complacency that comes with that, or it can come with that I don't want to push to do more in terms of my physical performance. You know what I mean? Because honestly, I'm pretty happy with my physique, and I don't necessarily I'm not somebody who's looking to get super big, and I'm not even somebody who's like, oh, I need to get super leaner than what I'm at right now. So I'm not necessarily tripping on that. But as far as my performance goes, that's definitely something that I'm always looking to improve. And another aspect of my training that I feel like I had hit a plateau at, kind of hit that mental wall, so to speak, was when it comes down to my distance and my endurance running. So, I'm somebody, I can do about a 3 mile, maybe a 5K in like 22 and a half minutes, right? So that's about 7 minutes, 30 seconds a mile. I usually do, that's pretty much my average. And, even sometimes I do it even lower than that. But I've been doing 3-mile runs for years. And I thought about that the other day, and I was just like, man, I've been doing 3-mile runs literally probably for like 10 years. And I never really I've never raised the bar to the point where it's like, okay, 4-mile runs is the minimum that I need to do. Or I never raised the bar to where it's like 5-mile runs is the minimum that I need to do. So for me, it was almost, and it's almost like when you're kind of in that complacency mindset, things actually seem a lot harder than what they really are. Because the other day I went out, actually twice this week so far, I went out and ran 2 5-mile runs. And I did them with pretty much, I mean, one of them was like 7 minutes and 48 seconds a mile. The other one was like 7 minutes and 39 seconds a mile. And physically, it wasn't any harder than me doing a 3-mile run because I'm already in good enough shape to actually do it. The only thing that was more difficult was the mental aspect, because I've been so complacent with doing 3-mile runs for such a long time, or 5K runs for such a long time, that like mentally to do almost double that was like a big leap for me. Even though physically, obviously, like I said, I did it in a pretty good timing. Physically, it wasn't even a problem at all. So a lot of times, you know, we are our biggest enemy in terms of, you know, complacency, and also in terms of our ego getting in the way. And that brings me to another topic. So like I said, you can take the physical and put it into the mental world, or you can take the physical aspects of something and put it into the creative world, or put it into the financial world, or whatever it may be. And, you know, that's actually another thing that I've kind of been thinking about, and something that I'm making some changes in as well. So one of the ways is like, how do I make my YouTube videos? How creative am I getting in terms of, you know, my skill set in terms of editing or putting together videos? Like, I usually do a pretty similar format on pretty much most of my videos. I talk to the audience. I, you know, maybe cut in a few, you know, B-roll clips here and there, you know, me working out or whatever maybe the topic is. Why not change my style completely? Maybe not on all of my videos, obviously, because obviously I've gotten, you know, a decent amount of subscribers from doing things the way that I do them. But why not level my game up and, you know, maybe show people a different aspect of Brazil, or, you know, do things in more of an artistic manner, or, you know, maybe take some notes from some other YouTubers who maybe do things that I think are maybe aesthetically pleasing as far as the way that they're creative with the way that they cut their videos. And why don't I add that into my own game, instead of, you know, having this complacency mindset of, you know, hey, I've built a decent following, you know, I'm doing good and yada yada yada, and B, from an ego standpoint of like, hey, I like to do things my way. You know, a lot of that type of mentality needs to just get thrown in the garbage can, because we can never get better at what we're doing until we switch things up, get out of our comfort zone, and B, you know, learn from others who are doing things at a grander scale, or just better quality in general. I don't necessarily mean that I need to go find somebody who has 1 million subscribers on YouTube and copy their content creating style. There's people out there who have 500 subscribers on YouTube who have dope channels. You know what I mean? They might have 1,000 subscribers, but they put their videos together in a super dope way. And I could, you know, take some of the information and, you know, take some of their style and, you know, add it to my tool belt. That's what life is all about, is learning from others, and then, you know, putting it out there for the world to see, or learning from others and then teaching others. And kind of that's where I'm at right now when it comes down to calisthenics. That's where I'm out right now when it comes down to, you know, just my physical fitness in general. And that's where I'm at right now with my creativity and the way I kind of want to change things up with my channel as far as creating content. And this can actually go into the financial world as well, and in the spiritual world as well. And I think that's one way that I actually don't think that I actually really have too much of an ego, is when it comes down to spirituality, I'm actually really interested in terms of the way other people think about things. And sometimes I'll adopt some people's kind of mentality when it comes down to things, but then sometimes it's not for me. But at the same time, like, I think I'm a pretty open-minded person when it comes down to that, because I think when it comes down to spirituality, that's kind of something that is really, you know, something that you can't really put into words. And it's honestly something that nobody really knows 100%. Like, when it comes down to spiritual aspects, things that you can't see, things that you can only feel, when it comes down to energy, things like that, like, there's not necessarily a cut and dry science when it comes down to that. Like, nobody's ever figured out a cut and dry science when it comes down to that. Nobody's ever really figured out what happens to people when they move on from this physical world. You know what I mean? Like, nobody knows the answer to these questions. So to a certain extent, we're all kind of playing like a guessing game. You know, maybe we have more of like a hypothesis, maybe an educated guess because, you know, our gut intuition tells us something. But that's something that we should all always be super open-minded about and not get super rigid in our ways about. I think that's super important when it comes down to like mental and, you know, spiritual aspects of like being open and learning and not really letting our ego and, you know, our stubbornness get in the way. When it comes down to financially, another thing that I've kind of been peeping out is just, you know, how do other people market their products? You know, how do other people make their sales pitches? How do other people construct their, you know, whatever they're doing when it comes down to, you know, whatever they're selling? And you don't necessarily I don't necessarily, as somebody who is in the health and fitness lane or the calisthenics lane, need to just copy somebody who's doing calisthenics. There's so many other people who are doing amazing things, and you can always translate that into what you're doing. If you see a style that somebody's doing, as far as, you know, selling or as far as the way that they run their business, and you feel like you can learn from that, implement it into your own business. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the same genre or the same, whatever you call it, the same market. You know what I mean? You can just implement it in your own way. So that's what life is about. It's about learning and then implementing things your way. Slightly different, but your style. Think about it like sports, for instance. Kobe Bryant, although people say that he completely copied Michael Jordan's game, I would say Kobe Bryant's game was different than Michael Jordan's in a lot of different ways. I feel like Kobe took a lot of the skill set that Michael Jordan had, and then what he ended up doing was he implemented it in his own way. Kobe had different movement patterns. He had a different jumper than Michael Jordan, you know what I mean? He had a different ball handling skill set than Michael Jordan. So he implemented it in his own way, but he learned from the best ever, and then he took that skill set and implemented it in the way that he knew how. And, you know, I would say most athletes in general, that's something that I feel like is really good about sports, is that most athletes in general learn how to, you know, hone their skills, their craft in that sport by watching others. And that's really the only way that you can learn. So you take other things that other people do and then you implement it in your own game. And if you're really kind of like on that genius level when it comes down to sports or anything in life, you can create your own new thing. You know what I mean? Like, you can create a move that nobody's ever done. You can create a certain type of content that nobody's ever created. You can, you know, create some calisthenics move that nobody's ever done. You can create some exercise that nobody's ever done, because in all reality, most things in this world are not new. There's nothing new under the sun, as they say. So in order to actually come with something fresh that super innovative that nobody's ever done, you know, that takes a real creative mind. And on top of that, I think you have to have a very open mind in order to do that as well. But anyways, guys, if you guys have any thoughts about this topic as far as letting your ego or complacency or, you know, the fact that you're good at something already get in the way of you growing and getting better, leave it in the comment section. If you guys have any ideas for other videos that you guys would like me to speak about, leave that in the comment section as well. Anyways, guys, I hope everybody's having a great day out there. I'll holla at you guys later. Peace.